Elderton House had always been a place of secrets. Its imposing facade stood in stark contrast to the picturesque countryside that surrounded it. For centuries, the house had loomed over the land, bearing witness to generations of joy and despair. In the late 19th century, Elderton House belonged to the Gray family. The Grays were esteemed members of the community, their wealth and influence unchallenged. However, beneath the polished veneer of their lives lay a dark secret that would become the source of their undoing. At the heart of the family's hidden shame was Eliza Gray, the youngest daughter of the household. Eliza was a beautiful and vivacious young woman, known for her wild spirit and fiery temperament. She was also infamous for her clandestine love affair with a mysterious artist named Jonathan Hartley, a liaison that had the potential to scandalize the family and shatter their reputation. The Grays had plans for Eliza that were far removed from the dreams of a humble artist. Her parents, particularly her domineering father, intended to marry her off to a wealthy suitor and secure their social standing in the town. They saw Jonathan as an obstacle, a threat to their carefully constructed facade of respectability. The pivotal moment came one fateful evening when Eliza and Jonathan made a desperate plan to elope under the cover of night. They would escape the suffocating grip of the Gray family, seek a new life together, and elude the scandal that would surely follow. But their plan was ill-fated. As they stole away from Elderton House, Jonathan's boot caught on a root, and he stumbled. The resulting noise was enough to rouse the household, and Eliza's father, awakened by the disturbance, quickly deduced his daughter's intention. With a mix of anger and desperation, Eliza's father confronted the young lovers as they attempted to flee. Jonathan was dragged away by the family's burly servants, while Eliza was dragged back into the house, struggling and screaming. The next day, the townsfolk received news that Jonathan had been found dead in a nearby river, his body bloated and lifeless. The Grays asserted that he had drowned accidentally, and no one dared question their version of events. Jonathan's death was seen as a tragic, unfortunate accident, and his memory was forgotten over time. As for Eliza, her fate was a different, more chilling tale. She was confined to the uppermost chamber of Elderton House, her cries and pleas for release growing weaker with each passing day. It was said that she had been driven mad by her imprisonment, a tormented soul whose sanity had unraveled. In the years that followed, the townsfolk whispered that Eliza had vanished from sight entirely, that the Gray family had disposed of her in their efforts to eradicate all trace of scandal. Elderton House became a place of dread, the uppermost chamber a sealed crypt of secrets. And so, time moved on, and the Grays' dark secret was buried beneath layers of history. The once illustrious family had fallen into decline, their name tarnished, their wealth dwindling. Elderton House, once a symbol of prestige, became a crumbling relic, shrouded in rumors of curses and hauntings. The year was now 2023, and Elderton House had been abandoned for generations. Its imposing facade was marred by the passage of time, its windows shattered, and its halls silent. The town of Elmsworth, once a thriving community, had withered into a shadow of its former self. In this desolation, a group of friends came upon the legend of Elderton House. Among them were Sarah, an adventurous and fearless young woman, Mike, the joker of the group with an insatiable curiosity, Emma, the superstitious one who couldn't resist the allure of the unknown, and Alex, the rational thinker who sought to debunk the mysteries that clung to the house. Sarah had grown up hearing the tales of Elderton House from her grandmother, the chilling stories of the forbidden upper chamber and the vengeful spirit of Eliza Gray. The old house had always held a dark fascination for her, and she couldn't resist the lure of the unknown. Mike, the skeptic of the group, attempted to dismiss the stories as mere folklore. "Come on, guys, this is just an old, abandoned house with a spooky past. There's no such thing as vengeful spirits or curses. It's all in our heads." But even as he spoke, his voice wavered slightly, betraying his own unease. The legends of Elderton House had a way of weaving themselves into the very fabric of the town, and the mere mention of it sent shivers down their spines. Emma, who had always been the most superstitious of the group, couldn't hide her discomfort. "I've heard stories about people who've ventured into that house and never returned, as if the darkness within consumed them." Alex, the rational thinker, tried to bring a sense of logic to the situation. "Let's approach this with a scientific mindset. We'll explore the house, document any anomalies, and dispel these legends with evidence." With a shared sense of adventure and trepidation, they decided to investigate Elderton House and uncover the truth behind the legends. Armed with flashlights and a mix of excitement and fear, they entered the decaying mansion, its corridors filled with the echoes of history. The air inside was heavy with the weight of silence, and the halls were cloaked in shadows. As they ventured deeper into the house, they came upon an ornate staircase that led to the upper chambers, the heart of the legends surrounding the Gray family. Sarah led the way, her heart pounding in her chest as she climbed the creaking staircase. The others followed, their flashlights revealing the peeling wallpaper and the eerie, sepia-toned portraits of the Gray family that adorned the walls. As they reached the upper chambers, they discovered a locked door that bore a faded, aged sign that read, "Eliza's Quarters." The sight of the door sent a chill down their spines, for it was said that Eliza's tortured spirit still dwelled within these rooms. Sarah, undeterred by the ominous atmosphere, attempted to open the door, but it was sealed shut by time and neglect. With a determined effort, they forced the door open, revealing a chamber frozen in time. The room was a disarray of faded elegance and shattered memories. The walls were adorned with long-forgotten mementos and love letters, testaments to a love that had been forbidden and doomed. Eliza's presence lingered in the room, as if her spirit still clung to the remnants of her past. As they explored the chamber, they discovered a wooden trunk hidden in the corner. Its surface was weathered, and the lock was rusted, but with effort, they managed to open it. Inside, they found a treasure trove of artifacts, letters, and a diary, Eliza's written testament to the tragedies that had befallen her. The diary chronicled Eliza's love affair with Jonathan Hartley, the clandestine meetings in the moonlight, and the whispered promises of escape. It also revealed the treachery of her own family, their cruelty, and her father's rage that had torn them apart. As they read the diary, the room seemed to grow colder, and an eerie whisper filled the air. It was as if the spirit of Eliza was reaching out to them from beyond the grave, her presence becoming palpable. Mike, his voice quivering, said, "Did you hear that? It's like someone speaking to us." Emma's eyes widened, and she nodded. I felt a chill, and I heard her voice. "She's here, among us." Alex, ever the rational thinker, attempted to explain away the phenomenon. "It's just a draft and our imagination playing tricks on us. There's a logical explanation for everything." But even as he spoke, the room grew darker, and the shadows seemed to take on a life of their own. The presence of Eliza was no longer a mere legend, it was an undeniable reality, and her spirit was restless, seeking to communicate her pain and anger. With a mixture of fear and empathy, they decided to delve deeper into the house, to uncover the truth about Eliza's fate and the curse that had bound her to Elderton House. As they ventured further into the mansion, they discovered secret passages and hidden chambers that revealed the Grey family's role in Eliza's tragic end. It was a chilling revelation. Eliza had not vanished or been disposed of, she had been imprisoned in the hidden chamber beneath the house, where she had suffered in torment, her cries unheard by the world. The Greys had gone to great lengths to erase any trace of her, but her vengeful spirit had endured, seeking retribution for the cruelty she had endured. The group of friends, Sarah, Mike, Emma, and Alex, found themselves drawn into a web of darkness and despair, their lives intertwined with Eliza's tragic fate. The malevolent spirit sought to expose the truth, to reveal the horrors that had transpired within Elderton House. As they delved deeper into the house's history, they discovered the extent of the Grey family's crimes, their role in Jonathan's death, and the treachery that had condemned Eliza to a life of suffering. The house itself had become a reflection of the darkness that had festered within its walls, a place of echoes and torment. In the midst of their investigation, the townsfolk of Elmsworth learned of their explorations and the malevolent force they had awakened. The legends of Elderton House resurfaced, and the town was thrust into a state of terror, haunted by the vengeful spirit and the horrors of its past. The friends, driven by a sense of guilt and responsibility, sought to put Eliza's spirit to rest and bring closure to the haunting of Elderton House. They conducted research, consulted mediums and historians, and pieced together the chilling narrative of the Grey family and Eliza's torment. The climax of their investigation led them back to the upper chambers of Elderton House, where they attempted to communicate with Eliza's spirit. Through a series of seances and rituals, they sought to understand her pain and offer her the release she so desperately craved. In the culmination of their efforts, Eliza's spirit manifested before them, a tormented and ethereal presence. Her eyes held a mixture of sorrow and fury as she conveyed the horrors of her imprisonment and the injustice she had suffered. With empathy and sorrow, they promised to bring her truth to light, to expose the crimes of the Grey family and ensure that her story was remembered. Eliza's spirit, in a final act of retribution, revealed the hidden chamber beneath the house, the place of her torment and suffering. As they descended into the hidden chamber, they uncovered the chilling remnants of Eliza's imprisonment, the chains and restraints that had held her in captivity. The chamber itself was a place of darkness and sorrow, a reflection of the cruelty that had unfolded within its walls. In a final act of closure, they sought to put Eliza's spirit to rest, to offer her the peace that had been denied to her in life. Through a series of rituals and prayers, they released her from her torment, allowing her spirit to find solace and transcend the vengeful force that had bound her. Elderton House, once a place of dread and despair, was transformed into a symbol of redemption and closure. The legends of the house were no longer tales of horror but a tragic narrative of a young woman's suffering and the retribution she had sought. And so, the chilling tale of Eliza Grey, a vengeful spirit who had endured torment beyond the grave, was finally brought to light, and the town began to write a new chapter in its history, one that celebrated the courage and determination of those who had uncovered the truth and offered redemption to a restless soul.